Here we're streaming live through the audio with Attention Live on Alexa, our skill, as well as our YouTube channel as well. And here we are, Bradley. We made it. We made it to Thursday morning, and we're here for an interview. I'm gonna be able to talk with you publicly. We've done a lot of this before, a little bit different.
We have, and you know, it's a good opportunity since we had some clearance in the schedule to sit down, and you know, we've seen this dude on a hoverboard. We've seen this dude with the rocking the rims, and this California type of guy. We don't know. We need more. We need more information than that. And here we're about to get it. So, you know, I think it's just a great opportunity on a Thursday to sit down with Ian Utilli and who is this dude? What path has he taken? And what's he about to unleash? And so that's what we're going to find out.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited that you and I can have this conversation. I've really enjoyed developing a friendship with you the last couple of years. And I have so appreciated the way that you've invited me into this community and empowered me to be myself and just do my thing. I really honor that. And so I think today will be fun to have a conversation.
Yes, it will. Yeah, and likewise.
I want to just publicly challenge you to ask me tough questions.
I'll do it. You didn't have to do that.
You already. No, but I want to really push it over the top. I want you to get creative. Like, okay, he won't answer this one.
All right, I'll dig in. I'll dig in as we go. I'll find those opportunities. So, start off. Just tell us who you are. Let's imagine. I don't want what you tell somebody at a conference. No. What I want is when you're sitting down at the Thanksgiving table with those relatives you haven't seen for a while, maybe a year, maybe two, and they say, Ian, what are you doing? What have you been doing? That no BS, no filter.
Good.
I want that answer. So let's hear it. Who are you?
Well, I'm a product of my father, Gary Utilli, the legendary surfer, and my mom, Kim. Both are entrepreneurs. And so my whole way of operating is entrepreneurial. Never had a job, neither have they. So that gives a little context for a family conversation. The truth is most of my friends, even my strategic business partners, wonder constantly, so what exactly are you doing? Because there's confusion around my activity. A lot of people are like, wait, are you an event guy? And the truth is I'm not an event guy. I support event guys like yourself, Bradley, and others. I need these events to thrive and be like real powerful communities so that our product both can work with that community and also that we can have the type of feedback that we're able to receive from these folks. But if I was to sit down at a table and just kind of say, hey, what am I doing? I've had a big need in my business and personal life for easier communication. And because of that need, I've tried so many ways of patching together hardwares and softwares and teams. And I just found that nothing really fulfilled it. And so I brought my team together, many of the folks that have worked with me to build previous companies, and we built a new product. And it just lets me communicate like this, right? Through one product, I can just communicate to all these different places. And so that's what's in place. And so since that's in place, I would probably talk about the product, right, with them, and I'd show them. So usually what I'll do is I'll do that. But I'm just a simple guy that lives in the Bay Area. I'm like a Santa Cruz guy, laid back, easygoing, don't have a lot of expectations. I'm insanely unbridled with my ambition. Like my drive is overwhelming. And because I'm charismatic and I'm a good communicator, usually those two things combined can create a lot of energy.
Have you lived in California your whole life?
Yeah, yeah. Our family has lived in California now. My kids are 21st generation Californians, all the way back to the 1400s.
We
So that
forgive
was,
you.
what was that?
We forgive you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I love California. I love what
I'm giving you
California
grace.
has been, and California is going through a little bit of a challenging time, especially from my perspective. I'm more libertarian, so I don't like the overreach of the government in California, the overtaxing and things of that nature. But things changed from a more uh, things change to get to this point, and I don't like the way things are as much as I have looked in the past, and things can change again in the future. But yeah, so we've lived in California a long time, just in the Bay Area. We've been here 10 generations. My ancestor founded San Jose, so like very much local. But I'm in like this little beach town called Aptos inside Santa Cruz. We're like an hour and a half south of San Francisco. The weather's beautiful here. It's like 63 to 78 and sunny most days, which I'm very, very aware that it's not everybody's experience, and grateful for that we get to have that. And but yeah, I'm an easygoing, very intense person.
So tell us something about your upbringing that we don't know.
My upbringing that people don't know.
I'll
I
wait.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what would be interesting for people to know that maybe I wouldn't normally share? Um, an interesting thing about my upbringing is I worked really hard, really young. So I started going and working in a construction capacity at like probably 12 or 13 as like a laborer. And before that, I would like pull the weeds, wash my parents' cars, vacuum our house, do dishes. And it wasn't like Ian had chores. Like I was hustling and working all the time at a young age. That's pretty unique. And that's not unique to your and my generation. I think a lot of us grew up that way, but it's certainly unique to what a lot of people experience today, and especially like a hard labor job. By the time I was like 14, 15, I was like a carpenter. By the time I was a man, I was like becoming a journeyman and building homes. Like I worked my ass off, and I worked all the time, and I worked a job to make money, and then I always had one, two different, what we call today, side hustles, just me building things. So my experience has been wrapped up in like intense work, and I think I've probably dialed down the amount of work that I do. Like I don't work 6 18-hour days anymore, right?
Well,
Maybe I
what
work.
you and I define as work, other people would not define as work, and I think that's what makes us
No,
different.
my life, yeah. Back then, that was real work. Building homes is real work. You come
Sure.
home, you're exhausted, you're bloody. You got, you competed against yourself. That's what a lot of people in the trades do. This is different. This is fun. I mean, you and I are working right now, right?
Sure.
So it's different. It's a different kind of work.
It is, but that I haven't done anything like you, but I grew up with my share of jobs, and some of which were very physical. Nothing on the construction in the construction site, on a construction site, but it's that mentality, and I think you really articulated it well. That sets you apart. So we're going to get to Attention Live in just a second. We're going to talk all about it, but before we sort of get off of who you are, and exploring a little bit more about that. So you're a California dude, you're a laid back guy. You definitely enjoy technology. We've seen you hoverboarding around Project Voice and other events. And um, you got your thing going on. You got your image. What do you hope to accomplish? Let's say Attention Live. We're going to talk about what Attention Live is. Attention Live goes on to a lot of success. Sounds like you would just be up for the next thing. What are you hope? What's your end game? What's Ian Utility's destination point with all of this?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I don't have a lot of expectations, and I don't have a lot of hard, fast, like this is my goal. This is what I have to accomplish. I think part of the reason why I don't at this point in my life is because, in the past, when I was younger, I would have all these dreams, all these things that we were going to do, and by this date, and these specific things. And I found that certain things were way over exceeded. And it was just like, wow. And other things didn't happen. And so I've learned to live with less expectation and be a little bit less goal oriented. And I think my measure of success is like, how am I doing as a father? I have a 7 and 10 and 11-year-old boys. How am I doing as a friend? Like, am I a lover? Am I loving? Am I receiving love? Like, how are my relationships? And then, I put a lot of weight into myself, like as a thinker, as a futurist, like how could things be? And then being a founder and building toward it. So like, that's how I think through goals. A lot of times I feel like I'm a flag on a flagpole, right? The flagpole is standing there. I'm a flag and the winds blow me certain directions. And so a lot of my actions are responses to what's happening. I'm very responsive. But in terms of like our big company goals, there's 4 billion people in the world right now that make less than $2.50 a day.
Well,
2 billion people don't have access to the internet. And we're not that far away from there being access for the developing world. And with voice devices, people that don't read and write, maybe they're blind, maybe they don't understand a major language, they'll have the ability to connect through the satellite, through some sort of hardware device, hopefully using Attention Live software to create and consume content. And so I would love to see half the world use our platform. Our approach is more of a decentralized approach in how we're doing things and will do things. So I think we have a good chance of being successful with, if the wind remains in our sails. So in terms of like my big ambition,
we'll get there. I got one more question for you. Your expectations for your children. So your expectations for yourself, they're loose, they're malleable, they adjust as necessary. Your expectations for your children are what?
identical. Yeah. I mean, I don't want my kids to be anything specific. I want my kids to be 100% them. My boys and I have a very unique relationship in that, like, we live in a tree house, kind of in the forest. We go play all the time, right? Like yesterday, I took them out riding and playing for a couple hours. Of course, they do school, and that's important. But I don't have like, they want to be gamers. Great, be gamers. I'll help them, but I'm not going to make it happen, nor will I stand in their way. They want to be an artist. They want to be a builder. They want, kids change their mind all the time. I want to be a fireman. No, I want to be an innovator. Whatever they want to do, I'm good with. I'm not going to help them get there. I'm not going to I'm not going to create emotional trust fund kids where I basically provided all the emotional capital for them to succeed, nor will I do that financially. I will do everything I can to support them in what I think is the right way as their father, and I'll be celebrating them with whoever they become through the different seasons of their life. So I think in the same way that I have an open mind to what a company becomes, I'm the same way with people. I have an open mind with what my boys become, and I just want to enjoy the journey with them as they find that out.
No, that's great. Yeah. So I love the way you put that. You phrase the emotional trust fund. I feel that. I like that concept and the concept of avoiding it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Attention Live.
Yeah.
And let's talk about, we're going to get into the product. I think you want to show the product, but let's talk
Yeah.
about the genesis of the product, the conceiving of the product, and let's start with this time frame between identifying a market need and how you sort of came to that conclusion to the research and development and the resources that have gone into it. So walk us through figuring out that this is something that needed to exist, and the investment that's gone into it, leading us up to this point.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me to answer that question. So I started several tech companies in the past. One of them has been very successful, and we were acquired by a private equity firm last year. I started that with my friend, launched at his house in 2010, and I left in 2013, which is unusual to make an early exit before an acquisition. I started a bunch of companies, became an entrepreneur in residence for 3 organizations up to that point. And in 2017, I basically handed off all my projects. I went camping for 3 weeks with my family during the summer, and I came home with no commitments the end of the summer, 2017. And I had been an entrepreneur residence at 3 organizations, and I'd been learning what their needs were. And I've been learning what my needs were. And that's really the point of an EIR. It's like you're inside an organization and doing entrepreneurial things, launching things, figuring out what the needs are. And so I was talking to a mentor in November, and he basically really authoritatively kind of spoke into my life and my career and said, this is kind of the next step for you. I was explaining all my thoughts around the future of voice technology, the future of blockchain technology, not cryptocurrency specifically, but smart contracts and distributed ledger. And I'm like, this is the future. I'm explaining to him. He's like, this is the time. You're going to start this right now. I went and I spoke at a startup weekend up in Redding, California. And as I spoke at that startup weekend, I kind of shared this vision. People attached themselves to it. And that's kind of how we started. We started off, we called it Voice AI, and we built a few Alexa skills and had some people showed interest as customers. We built a product, called that product it was a company called Wumvi is what we called it, right? Because things change over time, and built a little team, put stuff together, and our product is like Voicify. The end of 2017, before WitLingo and Voicify were out, we built that product, but I didn't feel like it was, I didn't feel like that product of like putting flash briefings on Alexa or Google Actions. Like, I didn't feel like that product matched the ambition I had to do something at the scale of having billions of people on a platform. So we reeled back and I did events. And that's basically how I got to know the folks in the industry. I just started going to events, doing my own events, interviewing people. While we were doing that, we're doing the market research, and we're looking at different products, and what do we actually want to build? And we decided that we wanted to build live podcasting. So I kind of did a hard reset of the company, launched Attention Live in Puerto Rico. So we're an Act 20 company, which gives us a bunch of advantages. My business partner and co-founder, my CTO, Landry Worth, him and his wife are Act 22 residents in Puerto Rico. So we have like them there in Puerto Rico. I'm here in the San Francisco Bay. And then we have another half a dozen people. Now, Landry and those half dozen folks, we've worked together. They've all worked with me a total of 80 years. So we know how to build things together. And so we're already distributed, right? The pandemic did nothing to our work, our ability to get work done. We're all over the world. We've been building companies together like that for quite some time. And so we built live podcasting. And the product, we had an intention. We believe there's a problem for content creators and a problem for content consumers. Creators, there's too much work for pre-production and post-production and trying to get everything distributed. So we want one place where you could just go live. You have a start and an end. There's no pre-production, no post-production, and the distribution's done. We wanted to do that for creators. For consumers, we didn't want them to have to watch videos. We didn't want them to have to go to a specific platform to get access to content. We wanted them to be able to also listen, and we wanted them to get access wherever they're at. And so that's how we built our skills. So I'll give you this example. I'll just show you kind of how this works right now. Alexa, open Attention Live.
Welcome to Attention Live. Tell me the name of the channel you'd like to stream.
Ian Utility.
Welcome to Attention Live. Tell me the name of the channel you'd like to stream.
Alexa, open Attention Live. The joys of doing live demos.
Welcome to Attention Live. Tell me the name of the channel you'd like to stream.
Ian Utility. Well, I don't know why. It's all these beautiful demos have worked so well, but that's okay. So the point is, we have our live streaming to the voice devices, Alexa and YouTube. Right now, we should be live on YouTube. And I've been doing this demo, like I did it with Terry Fisher with Alexa in Canada, did yesterday for the Voice Den, did it with Carrie for Inside Voice Podcast, and several times. And for whatever reason, I don't hear the audio. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not.
Oh yeah, no, I think people will understand that this works, and there's other places they can check that out. And if you want to, we can try it again in a minute. But I want to, I love the idea and the core concept and the philosophy of zeroing out pre-production, zeroing out post-production, zeroing out distribution hurdles.
Yes.
Really democratizing content creation is what you're talking about.
Yep.
Because those things are the barriers that keep everybody from doing this stuff. Everybody's not a content creator. Why is everybody not a content creator? It's not because they can't get on in front of YouTube and say something interesting. It's because they don't have a clue on how to get to that point, and they don't know what to do after they're done with that point, and they don't know how even the parameters to evaluate how to distribute the content. And I'm not talking about everybody, but I'm talking about a lot of folks.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of power in that, and voice does provide a really unique opportunity to amplify that effort and to be a force multiplier. And I like what you're doing. I think it's great. I love the name of what you're doing. Why don't we talk about that a second? Where did the name for Attention Live, ATTN.live, come from?
Well, I think that there's 3 types of ways to function in the future. It's teaching, learning, and promoting. And so a lot of people are going to make a living by promoting. And so one of the thoughts that I had around our product of live podcasting is what's really happening here. Content creators are creating content to get the attention of consumers. Consumers are giving the creators their attention and allowing those creators to influence them. And so that's, to me, what live podcasting ultimately is about, is attention. Right? It's getting the world's attention and influencing the world to believe what you believe, to like the product or services that you are promoting, whatever the thing is that you're doing. And so that's how we came with that name. We just thought, what are we really trying to accomplish here? We're trying to make getting attention and giving your attention a lot easier than it is today.
Why don't we talk about that a little bit, drill down on that as well. I'm fascinated by people like Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm inspired by him, but also I'm intimidated by him a little bit because he is fearless when it comes to diving in and adopting new media platforms. He's all about Instagram. I don't like Instagram. I don't want to use Instagram. He's all about Instagram. He's all about TikTok. I don't want to know what TikTok is, and I especially do not want to use it. So maybe let's talk for a second about how, when we talk about the democratization of content creation, it's an important thing to note that we're just as much talking about the people that can't as opposed to the people that won't. And I think it's really interesting, the concept of using something like Attention Live to help a curmudgeon-like person like me gain access to new sorts of technology. There's plenty of people who have a curmudgeon-like attitude toward Alexa. And Attention Live can certainly open that door. Same thing for YouTube. Share with me your thoughts on people who are maybe a little bit reluctant to embrace new media and how Attention Live can help them see the light, people like me.
Well, I think it's a fair response that you have. I also think that people on TikTok probably don't want everybody on there, and I think there's something lost with communities having their own identity and people feeling like they have to be everywhere, and they don't. And so with Attention Live, I think what we want to do is we want to say, as a creator, you probably create somewhere, maybe on Twitter, maybe on YouTube, maybe wherever it may be. You probably create somewhere. As a consumer, you probably consume on one platform more than others. And so, can we, Attention Live, just make it easier for creators to get their content on every platform so that every consumer gets easy access? And that's really what we're trying to do for the consumers, just make it super simple to get access, right? Like Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan, he does $100 million contract with Spotify for Spotify to have exclusive rights. I understand why Spotify did it, why Joe did it. Seems like a smart move for that individual decision. But that's the exact opposite of what Attention Live's trying to create, right? We're trying to create an environment so that what Joe Rogan could have done with us, if I would have had a chance to sit down with Joe first, I could have explained to Joe, like, hey, you can go live with nobody telling you what to do. No, you don't have to do any sort of big contract. You can go live, Joe, on Amazon Alexa, on Google Assistant, on Samsung Bixby, Microsoft Cortana, every single social platform. And then you can send the archive out to the podcast platforms, and you can be in control and you can communicate directly with people and not have anybody like a Spotify in the middle. Now, again, I like their deal. It's good for our industry. It's good for them. I'm just saying that that's a specific case use that's for them. But we at Attention Live believe that the ideal thing is interoperability, right? We want content to work on any operating system, any hardware device. We want the creator to be able to create from any space and the consumer to be able to listen from any space. And so in a sense, we're trying to create the opposite of what like Spotify and Joe put together, which is exclusive access, right? You can only access Joe's content starting 2021 on Spotify. Not bad, certainly not bad for them, but just different than our specific approach, which is create from anywhere, consume from anywhere.
Well, it's interesting that you would bring that up, and I like the idea that you said at first about basically that the message and the medium are connected. The message is
Right.
nothing without the medium, and
No.
vice versa. You take Let It Be, and you try to make that into a Vine, and you get something idiotic.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
And it doesn't mean it won't get a lot of views. It just means it's idiotic.
Right.
So, Let It Be has a particular medium that it's married to, and that's, the form of a 3-minute song.
Right.
So, rather than a 6-second video. And then you're touching on the ideal of openness versus sort of the arc of the world, which is often closed. And I think the Joe Rogan deal is really interesting. I think that maybe this is an opportunity to ask you a question about voice. I think that it's definitely good for voice. Why is it good for voice? Because anything that's good for content is good for voice. So anything that accelerates the economies of scale of content creators and providers, anything that encourages more content creation, ultimately all of that's good for voice.
Right.
But my question for you, I feel like we've been spoiled with voice in the specific aspect of we have prospered from an ecosystem where the 1,000-pound gorillas are not spending 100% of their time beating each other up. Right. They're not throwing bananas at each other. They've been helping each other find new bananas.
That's right.
And applauding when one finds a new banana. So I feel like that's destined to change. And if you look at any number of other industries and technologies that have emerged, it definitely has become zero sum. It definitely has become very competitive. Maybe share with me your thoughts on voice, and how, if you think it's going to stay this sort of zen environment where you see things like Amazon and Google and Samsung all presenting at the same conference, which will remain nameless, along with Microsoft, or if you see it shifting toward, like I do, becoming a more competitive landscape, which would in turn cause more things like the Rogan deal to take place. Because if it's a competitive landscape, I'm grabbing resources and they're not yours, they're mine. And so, walk me through your point of view on all of that.
Well, it's complicated. Giving my point of view on that is about as valuable as giving my point of view on politics. It's complicated, right? Because the way that things have been done in business and in the competitive nature of a global economy and people all building similar technologies, both software and hardware, and competing against each other in this form, collaborating, we don't know how organizations are going to do these things moving forward. It's very different with voice tech, because if these organizations do work together, there is a stronger element that a rising tide raises all ships with conversational AI than there is with making cars or making homes or building boats. Like, it's very different. It's very, very different. And then we've come to a place where there's so much conversation around decentralizing certain aspects of businesses and communities, with interoperability, things being able to work on any piece of hardware, any piece of software, or in the sake of the distributed ledger world, move from chain to chain. Like, there's so much about collaboration and about us all moving things forward together. I think the question is this. Everybody's familiar with Mario Brothers. And Mario, he's a little Mario, and he hits the little thing and the mushroom pops out and mushroom hits him and he becomes big Mario. Okay. Is humanity going to come out of the pandemic and combined with all of the rapid speed of technological advancement and the openness to maybe doing things from government and business, a little bit more of a decentralized structure? Could we come out of this as humanity and as businesses a little bit more enlightened? Is it possible that maybe we approach the future of technology and the future of collaboration differently than we had in the past? I hope so. If not, then it will become a very emotionally violent landscape, and it will be everybody trying to kill one another. It'll no longer be about a rising tide raises all ships. Apps will get removed and deplatformed if they don't go and abide by every single little rule. All these different platforms will fight against each other. They will fight for having exclusive rights and ownership to things. At Attention Live, we've tried to solve this potential concern with our NFT integration. And so basically, like a house has a deed and a car has a pink slip, we give our content creators a token that clarifies that they own this content. And then we put that NFT, is what it's called in this world, we put that in a marketplace so they can easily trade, license, or sell that content. So one of the things that we're trying to do in advance for our content creators is, instead of asking them to give everything away for free forever until finally one day they'll be the biggest person in the world and Spotify will give them $100 million, what if we give them ways to retain ownership and rights and choose to be able to monetize their content through this automated way? And so we're hoping that that approach might allow us to serve more people for longer, and might allow the folks in the middle, right? The people that aren't going to be the extreme powerful people, nor the people that are just trying to learn things, but that gap in the middle that obviously gets forgotten from time to time, and give them a chance to create, consume content, own their content, monetize it. So we've tried to think through the future landscape, but it's hard to answer that question, because I mentioned politics, because the question may arise, are we going to be in a world with Democrats versus Republicans, or in the UK, it's the Labour Party versus the Conservative Party? Is that what we're going to have in the future? Or is it possible that there's a third party, a Libertarian Party that rises up, or some other way? I would say it's possible for things to change in the political landscape in the same way, I'm hopeful it's possible for things to change in the business landscape and for people to find win-win scenarios for them to collaborate better than they have in the past with a little bit different scenarios. So I guess that's my roundabout answer to your question.
Well, you're very optimistic about it, which I am too. And, I think that a lot of things boil down to individuals. And if you look at the individuals who are involved in this space right now, there's a lot of reason to be hopeful. And the question is going to be, the space is growing and other spaces are contracting real quick. So it's accelerating the growth of voice because it's not experiencing that. So you get all these new people coming in and you wonder what you're going to get. And I think that's the billion-dollar question here. I want to dive in on what you started talking about, just the decentralized ledger component of Attention Live. I think it's really interesting. For a long time, I followed with great interest the basic attention token. I think that is a really interesting project. I think the application of blockchain to media is the future. The problem is that blockchain has become a politicized and tainted word,
Right.
and for a lot of people. And I want to get your thoughts on that. Is that a predictable bump in the road that people who have more invested in the status quo are going to attack something new like blockchain and sort of make that happen for a while until it just becomes this unstoppable force and you can't hold it back anymore? Or does something else have to happen? What is the path forward for blockchain oriented stuff, including Attention Live with a decentralized ledger, to get from the public perception where it is now to where it needs to be? Share with us your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Great question. So blockchain is so tied to the one application of the distributed ledger, which is cryptocurrency, which is so tied to the most popular cryptocurrency, which is Bitcoin. And since Bitcoin is so volatile, and the value of Bitcoin can increase and decrease by 10+% in a day, the volatility of Bitcoin and the strangeness by which Bitcoin has gone from its infancy to today, and that path then affects the way that cryptocurrency is seen, which affects the way that blockchain is seen, which then affects the whole entire thing. My attraction to blockchain and to the distributed ledger has a lot less to do with cryptocurrency than it does with automation. Now, I do believe that fiat currency doesn't have an unlimited lifespan. I do believe that a cryptocurrency or several cryptocurrencies will dominate through micropayments in the future, but that's not my focus. My focus is automation. You see, my last company, Kukui, we were acquired as a technology-enabled services company rather than a SaaS, a software as a service company. That meant our valuation was a third or maybe a fifth of what it could have been. And when I did the reverse engineering of how did this happen, I thought I had a SaaS company. I realized, there's too many people working on too many things in our company and we can't scale. So as I started to research, how do I build a scalable software company? I realized that smart contracts, which are basically contracts that are set in place that happen automatically, like an if this, then that trigger. And so I thought, if I can institute smart contracts into my new company, then I'll never be stuck with the technology-enabled services company that require lots of humans to scale. I can just depend on technology to scale rather than humans. And that was my first approach. Then I started to think through ownership, right? Like there is you can prove ownership through the distributed ledger because you put it on the ledger and somebody verifies that it's true and it's trustworthy. It's verified, all those things of authenticity and security and all those things are in place. So see, I didn't start off with like Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, that wasn't my mentality. My mentality was automation. And then it was like, trustworthiness and automating our company. So that's been my approach with blockchain. That's why I've been very careful to be involved in blockchain events that revolve around NFTs, or what's called in this world the ERC 721 token, which proves the ownership of media through Attention Live, or smart contracts, right? Like that's been my focus, has been how do you automate businesses? How do you eliminate government corruption? Now, cryptocurrency, I believe, is going to win the day eventually. And the only thing that can stop the technology of distributed ledger would be like quantum computing, but we don't see that happening yet. We as technologists, the community, we still view like, okay, blockchain's the new cloud, it's the new database, it's the new way to have a ledger and to store and information. And so hopefully that answers your question a bit about my thoughts on blockchain. You know, because I'm not like a Bitcoin, Ethereum, cryptocurrency guy, which I made a very deliberate decision not to be. Like I knew about Bitcoin, I knew about all that stuff back in the day. I didn't get involved, one, because it felt a little bit too speculative. And I have such a charismatic personality that when I get behind things and I'm like, yeah, cryptocurrency is the greatest thing ever, you should do this. I can just imagine all my friends like buying Bitcoin at $20,000 in 2018. And now they're like bitching and moaning because it's $4,000. Like, it's because of you, Ian. You told me how great this was. I'm like, oh, so I didn't do that. I didn't do that on purpose because I understand the power of my voice. And so I've been trying to focus the power of persuasion toward getting people excited about voice tech and the distributed ledger, not just cryptocurrency. And so that's been what I've been trying to proclaim to the market and to my friends.
That makes perfect sense. And you know, that's a great explanation there. Let's close by talking about when will Attention Live be available to anyone who wants to use it, and what is the pricing model? Is this going to cost people something? Is it going to cost them something at first or maybe later? Tell us when it is, you know, when we know what it is now, and we know why it is, but when it is, and you know, how much it will cost. Let's close with that.
Good. Okay, that's a great question. Let me do this demo because it didn't work last time.
Okay.
Alexa, open Attention Live.
Welcome to Attention Live. Tell me the name of the channel you'd like to stream.
Ian Utility. People excited about voice tech and the distributed ledger, not just cryptocurrency. Alexa, stop. Okay. I'm not sure why it didn't work the first time. I had two Alexa devices from two different accounts in here. I'm wondering if that messed it up. Doesn't really matter. It does work. The point is our product does live streaming. Me and Bradley's voice right now is live streaming through Amazon Alexa and through YouTube. Eventually we'll be live streaming through all the voice devices and social media sites. I'm very grateful that that demo worked. Now, you asked about pricing and timing. Okay, so where we're at as a company is we spent 2.5 years getting to this point. We built a product that we could onboard like the whole voice tech community if we wanted to, right? I could make thousands of accounts available to the voice tech community and they could start using it. But we do not have the structure to support that at this point. We have the technology to support it. We have the team to support it, but there's still some pieces that are missing, which is why like I onboarded Terry Fisher, kind of because we talked so long, I finally was like, I'm going to give him an account. And so he's using it and we're gathering feedback from him. And, you know, I've talked to some other folks, right? Like Carrie from the Inside Voice podcast or JP from, you know, Vixen, folks like yourself that would be like, gosh, it'd be great to get Bradley an account to be able to use. So as far as how we roll out, it will depend on our next big decision that we make that we're going to be making with our investor. And so I built for 2.5 years. I finally finished a few very important things for our company. We finished our 8-page invention disclosure to file for our patent because we're doing 3 things that have never been done before. And the combination of those is a state-of-the-art invention. We create a 14-page white paper that I wrote with my friend that has 2 doctorates from Stanford, one in mathematics, one in economics, because why would one be enough?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And so we finished our white paper, we finished our invention disclosure, haven't released those, finished our pitch deck. We're raising $2 million in angel investment right now, looking for one angel investor. Obviously, we have conversations that we've been having the last week or so since I approached a few folks. And then we'll raise another $8 million in January. So that angel investor will help us make our decision on how we're going to go forward into the market. Because if it's up to me, I will focus on a few humongous enterprise contracts. So what I'll do is I will structure deals with companies, with global 2000 companies, Fortune 500 companies, right? So you think the Salem Radios of the world and the big content creators, right? The Stanford universities and the big organizations that have an insane amount of content, and we can take that content and without them doing anything different, we just attach our technology and we can stream their stuff through lots of different channels to all these places and so much more. Now, I would like to do that, but if we do that, there is a slowdown process to going to market with our platform. And this is why answering your question with clarity, I'm not quite ready for it, because once we have made a decision with the angel investor that we're inviting in to participate with us to transition our company from in the cave building for 2.5 years to going public, that person or organization will have a voice in helping determine whether or not they like the idea of me going after the enterprise market, even though we won't be able to have the worldwide platform for longer, or if they just want, if they're willing to fund just building and having our company lose money. I've never had a company that lost money before. All my companies are profitable that I've started, and because I've never raised money before. I've only just had sales funded. Happy to do that with Attention Live, but I have to have the agreement. And so every investor and every investor organization is going to look at this differently. And so we're going to dissect together our invention disclosure, make a decision. Do we file these patents the way that we have them structured or not? Do we send out our white paper to the globe and make our huge declaration of how we see things changing and why Attention Live is at the forefront of this massive technological change from touch and centralization to voice and decentralization? And then we'll decide. Now, I built 3 business models. All 3 business models are ready to be implemented like now. So we can go after the enterprise, which is huge dollar, very small number of contracts, very high touch, definitely technology enabled services, or a SaaS model, right? You think HubSpot, right? And just making our product available for freelancers, small businesses to be able to use our product to send out content, and we would have a monthly fee for that. That would be reasonable. Something that would allow people to say, that absolutely has the value there, yes. Or the preferred desire for us and probably the investor would be to build a platform for the world. And that would be a freemium model, right? There'd be a model in place to where people can use our software. And then because we give people a chance to monetize their content through our NFTs, we would then take a small percentage of the monetization. And that is how we would fund our company without having to have big data be the focus or advertising be the focus. So we believe we've put together a mathematical structure of a business model that would allow us to scale to billions of users without ever having to sell advertising or sell their big data, and just focus on empowering consumers to make money from their content and taking a percentage of that. So I think that answered your questions in a little bit of a roundabout way. Obviously, I'm not ready to make a declaration that on this date, we're going to onboard 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 users. Not that we can't technically do it, or I don't have the team to pull it off. It's just, I don't know if it's wise yet. And so I also respect that when somebody comes in and partners with me and our company with their investment, and they deploy their capital into our organization, that they should have a voice. I'm not coming to them with a painted painting. I'm coming to them with a blank canvas and all the paints ready to go to make some decisions together.
Well put. Ian, this has been a great conversation.
Yes,
It's been a long time coming. We had to dig into the man, the myth, the legend here. And I think that's what we just did. Thank you for sharing who you are and some of your time with us.
Yeah, let me do one final thing, if you don't mind, Bradley.
Sure.
I said that I would do a demo. And so I feel, just in case people were coming here with the expectation that they were going to see some sort of demo, I'm just going to do this. I can just imagine all my friends like, look at that, do a demo. And so I feel just, there I am. That's not what I want to show you. But what I do want to show you is this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can get on the right page. I just want to give a quick demo of our product, because it'll only take a minute. And if people came on here for that, I would hate to leave them disappointed when I don't have to. So here it is. Okay. I got right here. Okay, found it. Okay, now I'm gonna share my screen one more time. So let me do this quick demo because I think people may want it, and if they don't, they should. Okay, here's our website, Attention Live, and this is pretty simple. What we do, people can join the private beta. They can look at the 30-second product demo here, and then we have the events that we've been working on. This is our actual product. And so when people are inside the Attention Live product, this is what they see. They see the Go Live page. They can put in their title and their description. We automatically change the day, and we automatically change the actual date at the end. So that way it's easy. You can toggle off and on YouTube and Alexa and the NFT creation. These will be toggled off and on soon. And so that's our Go Live page. There's also the My Streams page. The My Streams page is where you'd go and you'd actually go through your live streams. And in going through your live streams, you're able to kind of cultivate a 24-hour radio station. And so that way you can have your past live podcasts that are running constantly. So you kind of see my stream list, right? You'll drag and drop your content over and you'll build your 24/7 radio station. And then you can see your streams. You can star them if you want them to go inside that list. You can edit them, you can download them or delete them. You can also search through. So you can see that I've been live streaming through our product since January 2nd on my account. We were live streaming before that on different accounts. You also can see all streams, which I won't bore you with, or my account, which I want to show one thing here. This is where you'd put in information around going live on YouTube and whatnot. And this is where you create the NFT. So when I talk about creating tokens, right inside here is where you actually create your token. And so we have a token creator. And so if I were to log in, you'd see all of my tokens that I've created around each and every single one of my live podcasts. Now, the reason I want to show all this is that this really hasn't, I've never shown this to the community before. So what I just showed is a demo that I've not given publicly. And I wanted to make sure that as we wrap this up, people saw like, wow, we've built a live podcasting tool that works today. We've built the NFT integration that's creating the NFTs with the live stream. We have a way to create the 24-hour radio station. Like we've really thought through a lot of these things and actually put the work in to build it. So thanks for giving me one more moment to show that in case folks wanted to see it.
Yeah, well, it's a no-brainer. I agree. People want to see what you put together, and you can tell the sophistication and the thought behind it just in what you showed. Ian, this is fun. Pleasure as always.
Thanks so much, Bradley, for taking time and doing a little shift with me as we readjusted. For those that are watching, July 15th, I believe is the date for the Voice of Branding. Do you want to mention anything about the Voice of Branding?
Yeah, we pushed it back. Needs a little bit more time in the oven. We did it for several reasons. Yeah, Wednesday, July 15th is the day. It'll still be 3 hours in length. And so we're looking forward to that. And we'll have you on there, Ian.
Yes.
Attention Live will be the sponsor of that. And looking forward to seeing where all of us are then.
Yeah, me too. Well, be well. And I always enjoy talking with you, and we'll see each other soon.
Appreciate you, Ian.
Okay, very good. Bye, everybody. Thanks for your attention.